Hello. Welcome back. It's Miracle Mom and Michael. Mom is on the phone.
Hi, it's
Hello.
Miracle Mom and Michael.
Mom is telling her story. Well, this is all her story, but she's telling some of the early moments of marriage and children. And we left off this mom's reminiscing with she and my dad in Mexico on the set of a movie. So this was 1968. The movie came out in 1970. It was called Catch 22. And we're going to pick up there what happened in their lives after that. But before she goes on, I have to ask her a question. Now,
Sure.
it occurred to me, and I've already created a video with the name, with the name, or it's a question. Was I conceived on a film set? So
No,
I was doing the math, and it's like it's possible. It's right in that range.
it was probably before we got there, before we got to Mexico.
Oh, so I did. So I was on the set.
Um, okay, I've been thinking about this. Why is it so hard to pin down these pivotal moments in time? But
Well, this is one that could. This is one that could actually be verified somehow if you get to
yeah,
if you got to the producers of Catch 22 and went through their records. What month of the year were you shooting that scene, and when were they there? And
yeah.
then Michelle was this many months old because she and I are 15 months apart, which means
Well, see, she had to be 6 months old when I got pregnant with you.
right. And
Because
so,
you would have been born 15, it was,
yep,
there's 15 months between you.
yep.
So she was 6 months old when I learned that I was pregnant with you.
And so, how old was she in Mexico? That would be like if she was 6 months old in Mexico, then maybe. But if she was 5 months old in Mexico, then you got pregnant before you went there,
Okay.
right?
She was born in May, so May, June, July, August, September, October, I would have found out that I was pregnant with you.
Do you remember when that trip to Mexico was?
I don't. I don't. But if you Google that movie, it may have, dates and times and locations of shooting. You know what I mean?
It, it's doubtful. Well, you know what? If you go to Wikipedia, they might have some of that detail. That's a lot of detail that's usually not,
Yeah,
at least at
true.
that time, was not documented
Yeah,
publicly. So
true.
it would be more like having interviews with people that worked there and were on the
Yeah.
set or whatever. But it may never be figured out. But
Well, maybe you were. Maybe you were in Mexico.
maybe I was conceived on a movie. Maybe that's where this all started. Me working in the movies and stuff.
Maybe.
All right.
Oh.
Question not answered, but speculated upon. So what happened after Mexico, Mom?
Oh, okay. After they, wrapped that up down there, we came back to Tucson, and your dad wanted to move to Phoenix. He wanted to be in the bigger city,
Mm.
if I remember right. And the way that worked out was either he had a friend or his dad had a friend who owned a business that was a shoe store.
Okay.
And in order to move to Phoenix, it meant finding work. Of course, back then, that was not such a big, hard problem. But this guy's name was Joe something. Can't remember his last name. Anyway, he owned a store in Phoenix and said, well, look, if you come into Phoenix, just come and work for me. So that worked out perfectly. So we moved to Phoenix not long after we got back to Tucson.
Since his
And he
movie
went,
career didn't work out.
right. Yeah, that was a flop. So, so off we went to Phoenix, and he started working at Joe's shoe store. And the thing about this is, what I haven't said before is, as far as nursing, I was a licensed practical nurse at that time.
LPN?
I had not finished school, but I had an LPN license. What happened was, in college, at the end of your junior year, you could sit for the state board exam for licensed practical nursing at the end of my junior year in college. So I had a license. And when I was in the Peace Corps, I was a licensed practical nurse.
Got it.
Okay. So we got to Phoenix. He started working for Joe at the shoe store. And I went to Good Samaritan Hospital in Phoenix and applied for work. And I got the job. And I worked on a metabolic pathology floor. And the supervisor that I had at the time got on my case right away and said, "You need to get your RN license. You must get it." I was a good nurse. You know, she saw the potential in me and all this, and she just kept hounding me and hounding me. Well, back in the late 60s, in that time period, major hospitals across the nation had what were called diploma programs. They were 3-year programs, and they were hospital-centered. They were not in the college and university venue yet.
Gotcha.
You wanted to be a registered nurse, you went through a hospital program, diploma program at that time. So, a diploma program. So I enrolled in the senior year of that program because of my previous, college years. I had already satisfied a lot of credits. So it only took me 1 year, and I was not only working at Good Sam, but I was also a student in their senior nursing program.
Awesome.
Okay, so finished it, completed it, and graduated in 1971, June 1971. And so I continued to work after I became an RN. I worked on the same floor where I'd been hired in the first place. So I was working full-time, and your dad had his job at the shoe store.
You got to rewind.
To what?
Didn't you go to some concert? Was that before you went to Phoenix?
Oh, that was in Phoenix.
Okay. Tell me about it. Because I was not born in 1970 or 71.
No, you were born in 69.
Right. So we got to rewind here. So you started the nursing after I was born, or the senior year after I was born?
Well, here's what I know. The Janis Joplin concert was October 3rd, 1969.
Janis Joplin. Wait, what? When was it?
October 3rd, 1969.
Oh, well, then I wasn't at the concert.
Well, you were born in August.
Right. I mean, unless I was an infant and you took me. I thought you were pregnant with me, or if I had been born and I wasn't there, then somebody was taking care of me while you were at the concert.
Yeah. Well, you did not go with us, for sure. I don't know who took care of you. Yeah, you were born while I was working at Good Sam. Because that's where you were born. You were born at Good Samaritan Hospital.
So you went to a rock concert.
Yeah.
Janis Joplin, no less.
Right. She actually performed at what was at that time the Seattle Pilots Stadium in Tempe, Arizona.
Uh-huh.
That's where they held the concert. But we did take Michelle with us. She went with us.
I'm jealous.
I'm sorry, but that's the way it was. So she was 15 months old by that time, and this Janis Joplin concert was just totally awesome. I'd never been to any kind of a concert like that, and it was outdoors. And they had the stadium built just for this performance.
Really?
And there were two guest bands that performed before she arrived.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them was, now your dad was into all this music. He just, lived and breathed the Beatles and everybody else that came along at that time. But the band was the James Cotton Blues Band.
Mm.
It was one of them. And the other one was, this makes me laugh because this is so your dad. The other band was the Chief Root Wizard and the Silvery Moon. I don't know if he even knows who they are, but I thought, well, that's fitting.
I love that you remember the name of those bands.
Well, they were...
Wait a second. I got to write that down. I think we figured out the name of this segment.
Okay, now which band do you want first?
Just,
both of them?
Just the Chief Moon.
Okay, the Chief Root Wizard.
Root Wizard.
And the Silvery Moon.
Okay.
Oh, dear.
Got it. Done.
So they were the front, the front performers before Janis Joplin came. So, they finished performing and all that. I mean, the crowd was just going crazy. Everybody was smoking pot except me.
Mm-hmm.
And,
you'd already had your bad experience with that. The wacky weed.
It again.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, we start hearing this sound like a plane flying really low. Well, it turned out to be a helicopter. And she came down in a helicopter that landed on that stadium.
Wow.
And that's how she entered to perform. Gets out of the helicopter, and I mean, all what broke loose.
Mm-hmm.
It was just so awesome. She's just one of those performers you don't know until you see her perform live.
Hmm.
That is just implanted in my brain. That was so awesome. She just had talent all over the place. It was really wonderful. Anyway, we had gone and we were wearing, when we were in Africa, we purchased some African attire. They made clothes over there so the tourists could buy them, and made all those colorful cloths and everything. And I was wearing some dress made out of one of those prints, and your dad had one of the shirts. So we sort of stood out a little bit. And the next day, the newspaper covered the concert, and it was one of the major newspapers in Phoenix. And we opened to the people page, whatever they called it,
mm-hmm.
and there was this picture of me holding Michelle and singing and carrying on at this concert, and it was, we were the focus of that photo. I couldn't believe it.
Crazy hippie mom.
Crazy hippie mom. So far from hippie, but looking hippie.
Looking totally hippie.
Oh, that was really special.
Do you remember which paper it was?
Oh, I wish. I don't know. I want to say the Phoenix Sun.
Maybe.
Which could be incorrect. I'm not really sure.
All right. Let's wrap this segment up with an answer to a question. Now, okay. So you and your old man, we're going to rewind a little bit. You and your old man had a bouncing baby girl, and you decided, you know what? Let's have another. Is that true or false?
Yeah. Yeah, we decided let's have another.
Yeah. Is that how it happened? So you planned, and let's do it, and let's stop using protection and
The
tell.
very truth is,
Mm-hmm.
I have never planned any of my children. Never planned them. Never said, let's plan this.
Uh-huh.
No, I was just of the belief that, if God wants to create a baby and bring it through me, I'm okay with that.
Well, I always heard that you found the IUD on the floor next to the bed.
Oh well, I think it was after you were born that I started using IUD.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, I didn't use any birth control until after you were born.
Well, my kids we have that argument with my kids because like we planned our second. We're like, you know what? Let's go ahead. Let's have another child. But the first one and the second and the third, the girls. So the son was planned, but the girls were not planned, and so he likes to rub it in their faces. He's like, "Hey, I was planned. You weren't." And I go, "Hey, you were all planned. It's just that God planned them. We planned you, and God planned them."
Well, that's absolutely true. I mean, you've got to know your dad because your dad wasn't planning for any children, I don't think.
Yeah, no. None of them wanted children, and he's just the one that didn't plan to not have children. He would have had to intentionally planned not to have children.
Correct. And he has 3.
Yes, he does. All right. Well, thank you, Mom. We're going to pick up that story next time. So,
okay.
bye, everybody.
Goodbye.